Hey guys, this is Martin from bigboyplants.com and welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we will talk about how to care for a pothos plant. See, pothos plants have become one of the most popular species to grow indoors. Here I am with two varieties that I have been growing for a while. So you can check this variegated pothos over here that I usually place on top of a shelf, and you can see actually how it is starting to trail down, which looks kind of cool. On the other side, I have this other variety, more standard variety, which tends to grow upside instead of trailing towards the side of the pot. Okay, so one of the things I like the most about the pothos plants is that they are very straightforward to care for, especially if you are a beginner like me. Now let's take a look at the basic caring guidelines. So pothos like to be grown indoors, preferably under indirect bright light, although they will tolerate low light conditions. Avoid prolonged periods of direct sunlight exposure. If grown in soil, pothos plants do best when the soil is allowed to dry out between waterings, and they should be kept above 50 Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius, as these plants like to be between temperature range between 65 and 75 Fahrenheit. If your pothos gets too leggy, give it a prune to control the shape and corral the length. Pothos aren't very needy when it comes to fertilizing. However, you can feed them monthly to bi-monthly with any balanced houseplant fertilizer. Now, let's go through the details of each caring task and check other cool topics like propagation and repotting. Pothos like to have their soil dried out completely between waterings. If left continually in damp soil, the roots will rot. Your plant will let you know when you need to water. If the leaves are glossy, green and perky, then you can skip watering for the day. If the leaves start to droop, then it means that it wants a good drink. Please consider that if your plant is kept dry too long, its edges will start becoming brown and dry. It is important to mention that pothos don't actually have to be planted in soil. They can do very well just placed in a container with water. Just keep in mind that if you grow it in water, then if you want to transfer it to soil, the plant will have a hard time adapting. Also, as you will see later on, this is a technique that is used for propagation. Now let's talk a little bit more about light care. Pothos can do well in a wide variety of light conditions. They can thrive under bright indirect light as well as low light. If you have a pothos that is variegated like this one, then definitely keep it under indirect bright light, as they won't do well in low light due to its energy requirements. Avoid prolonged direct sunlight exposure, as it can make the leaves to get pale or have brown spots. As mentioned before, pothos plants show a strong preference for warm temperatures and high humidity. The temperature switch is between 60 and 80 Fahrenheit, although some owners report that these plants can stand as low as 50 Fahrenheit. They are very resilient, but they like humid environments, so maybe you can mist it around once per week. When the plant reaches a stage where it's root bound, you can repot it in a container that is 1 or 2 sizes larger, filled with fresh potting soil. In terms of soil specifics, you don't need to worry too much, since they will thrive in nutrient-rich soil, but they can do well in nutrient-poor soil. So as I said before, these plants are very resilient and they can adapt to multiple conditions, even if the conditions aren't the most favorable. Now, let's move to two of the most popular topics around pothos plants, which are pruning and propagation. While some owners love the pothos vines trailing down a wall or a shelf, others prefer to prune the plant before it becomes too leggy. This is up to you. I personally don't prune my pothos plants very often, only when I notice yellow or brown leaves. However, cutting back stems at the tips helps that your plant doesn't become too thin. And in fact, you can even put clippings into the same pot to help your pothos get a more full foliage. Keep in mind that if you take this approach, you can also use the cuttings that contain nodes to propagate your plant in soil or in water. Let's check it how it's done.
Okay, so here I have my pothos, the ones that's variegated, and I'm gonna look for the node before making any cuttings. Just make sure that there's a node where I'm gonna cut, because that will increase the chances of success when moving this cutting into water. I'm gonna use the water method here. Now I'm gonna make the cutting. Make sure you use gloves and you sterilize with alcohol your pruning shears. So I'm just gonna make the cut right above the node. As you can see here, let me move this leaf. Yeah, so just trying to make a clean cut above the node. There you go. And here we have our base filled with water, bottled water preferably. And we're gonna place the cutting inside and make sure that the extreme of the cutting reaches the water. So maybe I'll need to pour some more water so it reaches higher. And just give me 1 second. There you go. And you can see actually here how the water is surpassing the cutting point. And we're just gonna give it some weeks or months to see if the rooting takes place. This is a little experiment, and I'll keep you updated soon.
Alright, so that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope these guidelines are useful to grow your pothos plants. As usual, let me know what's working for you in the comment section. Feel free to post your questions or comments. I love to see what's working for you, as I am a newbie in this plant journey. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website, bigboyplants.com. You'll find new articles published every week. So that's it for today. I hope to see you next time. Until then, happy planting.